Hello, welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio. My name is Aprille Walker, and today we're going to take a look at a pose that I know a lot of clients locally struggle with and a couple of you online have asked about. This is frog pose or half frog pose. We're going to take a look at some of the variations and modifications, as well as some suggested props that might make this pose more accessible for some of you. So this pose is one of the rare ones that is the same in yin and yang. You're going to see this in a lot of different classes that are focusing on the inner leg, inner thigh and groin area, and it's a really great meridian activator for the liver and kidney meridians because it runs to the inside. So I'm going to start with just a quick look at how to get in it without any props, and then we'll take a look at some prop choices here. So I'm going to take it sideways because it seems a little bit easier to see that way. So I like to come into it with a really wide knees child's pose because I know this is pretty much where my knees are going to go in the end. I would always take a blanket underneath this, and if you have some tender knee issues and you know there's going to be a lot of pressure in this pose on the knees, that's part of one of the things that kind of affects people, you might want to take a doubling over. So you can take this blanket and double it over on both sides. Gives you a little bit more cushioning. Start to come down. You're going to take the feet, fold them out so that your knees and your ankles are in line, your feet are flexed, and then you can start to kind of rock forward. So you're going to want to keep your hips right in between the knees. You can go a little bit wider if that feels okay for you. Walk your knees out. I like to keep my forearms underneath me, but some people find, my props out of the way, that they can come all the way down. Now if you are more comfortable there and you can take your knees completely apart and all the way down to the floor, go ahead. What I do find is a lot of people who can do that tend to do this and shift a lot forward. You want to keep those hips and knees in alignment. So a good hold for me is here. Now if I wanted some proppage, I could take a block underneath the belly. It's going to take some of the pressure off. I could also take a bolster. I could also take a block underneath the head. Bolster will give you a lot of support. My only issue with the bolster is don't let it come all the way down. Just sort of rest yourself there. Keep a little engagement and just use that as sort of a support mechanism to give you just a little bit more relief from this. You can also take a blanket underneath. So lots of choices here. This, I think, is more challenging to come out of. So if you take one foot, curl it back into your child's pose, take the other foot, curl it back into child's pose. Press your forearms and elbows. Press your hands and lift the knees back together. A lot easier to come into. Now you can come into it in a slightly different way. So push these out of the way. You can come into it from more of a tabletop position or a forearm tabletop. You would take one leg out to the side, walk it out, start to walk your other leg out, and find your way here. Same thing. Use that proppage, come down as far as you feel comfortable. And once again in yin, we do 2/3. So even if you could come down a little bit further, it might be more beneficial because we're going to hold this for anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes to stay up a little bit higher. Once again, get back out, tuck in, rock back a little bit, press your palms, lift those knees together, and maybe take just a close knees child's pose, fist stacked. It's going to take some of the pressure out of the inside of the legs. Now an alternative to this, if your knees simply hate this pose and no amount of padding is going to make that comfortable for you, or no amount of support is to take just a one-sided version. I use this quite often in a lot of my yin classes. You can take the hands out to the side, rest one side of your head on the floor, take that same knee out to the side, flex the toes, and just hang out here. This is a great alternative, but you want to make sure that your knee is in line with your hip, and that's often hard to do, to know exactly where that is. You would take this for 3 or 4 minutes and then switch to the other side. Head is turned the same direction as that knee. Always options to choose from there. If getting into it gets a little bit more complicated, once again, you can take the wide knees child's pose and start to walk those feet out 1 foot at a time. It's really hard to do it 2 legs at a time. Some people feel it's really comfortable to just slide into it. I don't find that particularly true. I get a lot of compression on the inside of my knee and it really doesn't feel good. But if that works for you, you can always just slide into it. If you have a blanket, it makes it a little easier because the ground is a little bit slicker. The sticky mat will hold you in place, which will make it more difficult to take those knees a little bit wider. If you think you might need a prop, you can have a blanket or a block or something about midway through to give you a little bit of support. You could also take the bolster underneath your hips a little bit and in between your legs to give yourself a little lower pelvic assist, if that's going to take some of the pressure off the inside of the knees. So try this pose. A lot of people kind of look at this pose and say, I don't like it, it's not comfortable, my knees hurt. Fold that blanket over. It's a really great pose for the inner leg. When I first started yoga, absolutely hated this pose. I will admit it right now. It's kind of grown on me to the point where I use it in my own personal practice quite a bit. I love the kidney meridian activation on the inside of the legs. I like the really deep stretch, and this is not an area that you get a huge stretch. If you want an alternative that's none of the above, taking a wide knees child's pose does a lot of the same things. Unfortunately, it doesn't activate all the way down through into the full kidney line. It just takes this top intersection, which is still good, but for that full kidney meridian running all the way down the inside of the leg and onto the foot, that frog pose is magically good for you. So give it a try. Try some of these props. Let me know what you think. And if you are not a subscriber, please click that subscribe button down below and join us for more videos each week. I upload new practices every single week. And like and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this. If you'd like to see more of these practices where we kind of break down some of the poses to make them more accessible for everyone. And I hope to see you again very soon. Have a great day.